What's going on, everybody? This is Sean of Raw Select Music. Today I want to talk about this record right here. This is Homeboy Sandman and Edan, Humble Pie, released on Stone's Throw Records in 2018. Much like a lot of the records that I've been talking about on this channel as of late, this was a record that came out towards the end of the year that I was very curious about, but actually I was kind of uncertain on whether or not I wanted to pick this up or not. I'm a huge fan of Edan and a little bit lesser of a fan of Homeboy Sandman, and largely in terms of a lot of the hip-hop records that I pick up, the majority of them I use for DJ sets. And this didn't really seem like the sort of record that I was going to be able to play out all that much in front of a crowd. But over time, my curiosity continued to grow for this record, and I finally just went ahead and picked it up. And now that I've given it quite a few listens, because it's only 22 minutes, so it's pretty easy to put on repeat, I wanted to share my thoughts and opinions of this record and let you know whether or not I think it's worth checking out. So with that little introduction out of the way, let's talk about this guy. Beep, beep. So one of the big selling points of this record for me was seeing the return of Edan. I have been a huge fan of him since his 2005 album Beauty and the Beat. I still think it's one of the greatest underground hip-hop records ever released. The beats on it are out of control. Edan's emceeing on it is so good, and it's a record that has continued to entertain me ever since I bought it all the way back in 2005. I don't have an LP version of it, but I have a CD of it back in Chicago, and it's a record that still confounds me to how good it is to this day. And quite honestly, I think it could actually go toe-to-toe with Madlib and MF Doom's Mad Villainy. I love that record too, don't get me wrong, but I think Beauty and the Beat is another underground classic record that needs to get a little bit more appreciation. Now, I don't want to spend the entirety of this video just talking about how much I love Edan. I should talk about Homeboy Sandman as well. And I gotta say, for the longest time, Homeboy Sandman was really hit and miss with me. Some of his tracks I thought were really, really good. Sometimes his flow can get a little too off track, and sometimes it just feels like he's not even trying to hit the beat or trying to stay in time with what other track that he's on. And sometimes his beat choices have been just sort of meh. But I have found over the years enough tracks that I liked by Homeboy Sandman that I thought I'll give this record a shot and see how both Homeboy Sandman and Edan work together as a duo. And I gotta say, after everything that I just said, I know I've been saying this about a lot of the 2018 records that I picked up, but seriously, this would have made it into my top 5 of 2018 easily. I absolutely love everything about this record, and if you want to shut this video off right now, go ahead. Just go. I can't recommend this record enough. Go out, buy it, steal it, do whatever you have to do. Just listen to this record because it is so good. But if you're gonna stick around, I'm gonna talk a little bit about why I think this record's so damn good. So first off, I have to talk about the thing that sticks out the most to me, and that is Edan's production. Edan is in top form in terms of his production on here. He's managed to take pretty much like every single genre of music that I associate with him and jam it into every single one of these songs. So there's moments of funk, soul, world music, 80s hip-hop, and a whole host of other different genres that he's thrown into every single one of these tracks on here, and all of them work, from Grim Sessions all the way down to the last track. There's not a single beat on here that doesn't work. I might, if I wanted to be a little bit more critical, Unwavering Mind and The Moment When, two of the later tracks on the B side of this record, are kind of not as exciting as some of the other tracks on here, but they are by no means bad, and they're still an absolute pleasure to listen to. And I gotta say, one of the things, despite the sort of reverby and psychedelic nature of Edan's production, all of it really hits pretty hard. There's a nice little punch to basically every single beat on here, especially the track that's pretty similar to what I would associate with a Madlib beat, Grim Sessions, starts off just as like a nice shimmering little loop that then leads into this hard-hitting guitar riff that has some drums that just match it absolutely perfectly. Other highlights include the synth-tinged, the gut, the sounds of rock and roll Indian dance, which uses a sample of a record that I talked about on this channel, which I'll probably post a link to down in the description. And on top of that, like I said, Unwavering Mind with its really chopped up sound, That Moment When, which is easily the most psychedelic track on this record, and Never Use the Internet Again, which has this complete 80s 80s drum machine hip-hop vibe to it. And then the last track on here just feels like more good quality Edan beats on here. It's probably the song that stands out the least in my memory, but it's still a solid track, and I do not find myself skipping any of the songs on here. But now that I've talked at length about Edan's production, I should probably get into the other half of the record, the other half of this record, which is the MCing on here. Edan pops up on two of the tracks on here, The Gut and Rock and Roll Indian Dance, and on The Gut, Edan does his usual sort of semi-psychedelic mind rambling, although it's a little bit more focused as he's trying to tell a story about making sure that listening to your instincts probably is your best bet. And then Rock and Roll Dance has him and Homeboy Sandman effortlessly tossing verses back and forth. They really work with each other well, jumping back and forth, really giving off sort of an old school vibe that I kind of wish was a little bit more prominent on a lot of the Run the Jewel records, where the two MCs would jump back and forth, finishing each other's lines. And Homeboy Sandman definitely delivers the goods on the majority of the tracks on here as well. I do find that his wordplay is a bit rambly, and sometimes it sounds like he's just rhyming things just to rhyme them together, but he does it in such a way that's just so clever and fun to listen to that it's really hard to fault it. And honestly, I gotta say, for someone who's not really that big of a fan, I feel like this is one of the best performances I've ever heard from Homeboy Sandman. Through a couple of reviews that I saw for this record, people were complaining that he wasn't doing a really good job staying on time with Unwavering Mind, going for a double time rap that seems like he's a little off tempo, but it didn't really bother me that much. And actually, the sort of double time that he uses in the track That Moment When works pretty well too, because it really seems to fit with the atmosphere of the track, which is very psychedelic and very dreamy, and it goes along with the theme of the song, which seems to be talking about what to do in the middle of the night when you have a date that doesn't quite work out. While a lot of Homeboy Sandman's rhymes do tend to come off as being a little bit free word associative, there's enough imagery and there's enough catchy little punches to his rhymes that I actually really like his contribution to this record. Quite honestly, I could probably spend another 20 minutes rambling on about how much I love this record, but I'm gonna leave it there. I gotta say, my only real complaint with this record is I wish it was longer. It coming in at just a criminally short 23 minutes means that when it's over, you're left still hungry and wanting more. I heard that there might be rumblings that they might be putting out a full project together, so keep your fingers crossed that they end up putting out a full-length record together. Because quite honestly, having now listened to this record, if I were to remake my 2018 list, this easily would have ended up in the top 5. And Homeboy Sandman and Edan's Humble Pie gets an absolute highest recommendation from me. Can't recommend this album enough. Definitely go out, check this one. So that's gonna be it for me today, guys. Thanks as always for watching. If you've given this record a listen, please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, if you want to check it out for yourself, please head over to my WordPress or Steemit blogs, because that's where I'll be posting music links to this record and any of the records that I talk about on this channel. And as always, please head over to my Mixcloud, where you can check out Raw Select Radio, which is basically the audio component of this Raw Select music brand. And also you get a chance to hear not only some of the records that I talk about on this channel, but also some of the records that I don't get to talk about. And also, I do want to say, because I didn't get a chance to mention it in this video, Edan was honestly the biggest inspiration for me doing Raw Select Radio. So I will also leave a link to Edan's radio show in my WordPress or Steemit blogs. So links for everything down in the description. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thanks as always for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. So until next time, peace!